to get more people jabbed with a vaccine is now underway. And they're doing it with a brand new C19 variant, believe it or not. Now, I know that many of us are pretty much sick and tired of hearing about this virus. However, what stands out here is the timing of this variant. Okay, guys? So it's actually now been it's now supposedly spreading just a few months before Donald Trump and Joe Biden face off in the 2024 presidential elections. Now, you guys remember what happened last time, right? But if you have to ask, is it really worth, I don't know. Maybe it's me. You got to ask, is it really worth it to get jabbed this time around? Now, experts predict that, we shouldn't expect the same kind of repercussions that we saw last time if we choose to say no to these vaccines. Now, many of us, many people feel as if employees wouldn't be removed from their jobs for refusing these drugs. But of course, you got to check with your own employer and see what they're saying. But I got some information for you guys that you're going to definitely want to hear today. By the way, if you haven't already, do us a favor, hit the like button for the video, share these videos. Thank you for subscribing. We've got Suzanne, Michelle Skeggs in the comments, Kyle Matthews, Hippy Dippy Woman, John Ruglio. Awesome. Got a lot. Guadalupe Rubino. Awesome. So, but you guys remember what happened last time, right? You have to remember that there's some studies that are now claiming that getting a jab might endanger you more so from the virus instead of the other way around. Like, I thought those things were supposed to be protecting us. Anyway, this was even confirmed by the CDC last year, the Center of Disease Control, when they discovered that the BA.2.86 variant was more capable in causing infection in people who were previously having received the C19 vaccination. So by getting a jab, you actually, according to the data, by getting a jab, we put ourselves more at risk. It's kind of weird how that worked. However, we're not really sure about this new variant that they're talking about. I don't know if you guys heard about it. It's called the FLiRT variant. And yes, you guys heard me right. FLiRT, like flirting with the opposite sex. Anyway, but let's hear from ABC News on this new FLiRT variant or subvariant that is now sweeping across the nation right before President Joe Biden and former President Donald Trump's 2024 election showdown.
FLiRT is this family of subvariants. Now, these derive from Omicron and then JN1. So it is this new, basically this had a mutation in the spike protein of the JN1 variant. And so now this family of variants, which are all very similar to each other, are just highly transmissible. They're able to get through our immune systems better, which is why we're starting to see a real spike in cases. Now, in the United States, this family of variants has really overtaken JN1 and all other variants. In fact, in the United States, it now practically makes up almost 100% of COVID cases there. And because it is so good at evading immunity, a lot more people are getting it. So, we're starting to see a real spike in COVID cases. We've seen it in Singapore more recently as well. And now we have just heard that that these cases have been detected in Australia. This week we did hear from Queensland's Chief Medical Officer, who was saying that certainly they've noticed a few. In Victoria, testing of water treatment plants has definitely uncovered that there are traces of it there as well. Still, JN1 is the dominant strain, but we're starting to see more of these FLiRT variants. And so what we're expecting is that this will soon overtake all COVID cases, and the majority of them will be this family of variants. So what are the...
I don't know about you guys, but it sounds a little bit concerning to me. I'm not really looking forward to going back to the masks and the lockdowns or, social distancing and all those other things. But you can't help but look at the timing of this thing, right? what's really happening? What is really happening? I mean, Donald Trump had a massive victory in the Bronx, New York, just recently. I mean, are the Democrats getting feeling desperate? Like is this a new play, a new or an old play that they're bringing back? I mean, I don't really know. I don't, but it does feel like we're kind of going back in 2020 all over again, like kind of like Back to the Future, going back in time 4 years, because we're hearing the same terms. You heard about how this variant can evade immunity, and how more cases are now suddenly popping up in the United States, as well as how more and more people are now being infected because of how transmissible this variant is. Really? Like, does this variant know that we have a presidential election between Donald Trump and Joe Biden coming up in a few months? Like, maybe the variant knows that. So it's like, hey, let me show up now. Now is probably an opportune time. I don't know how that works. But again, this feels like it's like the early days of the health crisis all over again, right? And they're telling us that this is not that bad. So, okay, do we not worry about it? I mean, they're saying it's not that bad. How many of you guys still wear masks? Do you think they help? But anyway, but they're saying that we should still expect some people to die because of this variant, even though it's not that bad. Also, the World Health Organization is already telling us what should happen next. So the WHO, or the WHO, they're saying that future vaccines should get tweaked a little bit to align a little bit more closely with these new variants. The reason for that is because these new variants are so shifty. They're supposedly so good at evading older vaccines that we'd have to go out and get new ones in order to adapt to this new FLiRT variant. Yeah, so I'm not sure if you're a big fan of the vaccines or not, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. But I'm also curious, I'm also kind of curious as to why they named this thing the FLiRT to begin with. And why is only the I in the FLiRT variant name lowercase? It's kind of weird. But now we're being warned that if we haven't gotten a new booster, then it's probably time to roll up our sleeves. Let me know if you guys are planning on doing anything like that. I'd like to know about, what you guys' plans are. But before that, we got to remember, we have yet to see one study that shows us that vaccines help prevent C-19 deaths. I haven't seen anything like that. I don't think that there's anything out there that can prove this or has proven this yet. Because if we're going with the science, it would be helpful if data can be provided. Now, the issue that many skeptics have is that this data just doesn't exist. Now, obviously, everyone's free to choose to do whatever they want to do with their bodies. I'm not saying to do anything or not to do anything. I'm just, we're just having a discussion here. Yet they're very confident in telling us to get boosted because this new variant is on the rise. Okay, well, that's good to know. But here's the question. If this is brand new, right? If this is a brand new variant, how can they tell that the old booster would be effective? How can they tell that the old booster wouldn't be effective? Well, the answer is very simple. They don't. Because those studies don't exist yet. We have to have, you'd have to have the experiment play out and then look at the results. So the experiment is still in play technically. Now, according to the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health, the vaccine designed around the XBB.1.5 is capable of generating some cross-reactive antibodies, but that they're not sure if it's going to be the same for these newer variants. So now they've given a reason as to why we should get boosted. Okay. But they're saying that this is also needed because it's been several months since many of us have gotten jabbed with the last vaccine. Immunity wanes over time, so it's perfectly normal to get this vaccine today, is what they're telling us. And, look at the wonders that we've gotten with those jabs, right? Well, we're being told that the symptoms that we see with these newer variants are becoming more mild. So that's a good thing, right? The symptoms are more mild, not because the virus is becoming milder, but the symptoms are more mild because our immunity is much stronger now. They point to both vaccinations and infections for this strengthened immunity. Well, my question for you guys is, do you agree with that? Do you think that your immunity and ability to fight off infection is stronger because of vaccines? Or do you think it's because of natural immunity? That's my question for you guys. But of course, we can't argue with the actual numbers. The FLiRT variant, or the KP.2, is now fast becoming the dominant C19 strain in our country. So that's significant. In fact, from late April to early May, nearly 30% of new C19 cases were caused by KP.2. Now, this is opening up all sorts of talks about particular mandates that the CDC supports to this day, right? Don't even get me started on what the World Economic Forum is recommending. But of course, those are all unelected leaders who want us to eat bugs. And, if we let the WEF tell us what to do, we'll be stuck in our houses with electric cars only, and we'll hang out in 15-minute cities and not go outside of those boundaries. But one of which is from one of these potential talks, mandates, recommendations from the CDC. One of which is masking and limiting close contact with others. Now, obviously, if I'm sick, don't be hanging out around me, right? If you see someone else who's sick, I wouldn't recommend hanging around those people. That's just common sense, I think. But even though we were told that the masks would not make a comeback on all of our faces, the CDC is suggesting that, the CDC is basically suggesting this for anyone who may have recently recovered from this new variant to wear a mask. So I don't know how you feel about wearing the mask or not. But, it's a safety precaution that they're recommending. But there's something else that they're not telling us. Some analysts argue that this basically dismisses the need for another booster. Numbers that were released by the CDC actually shows that the C19 hospitalizations continue to drop like a rock. So this is actually very good news. But even with that fact released by the CDC themselves, they're still telling us that a booster is necessary. Now, you got companies like Pfizer, Moderna, Johnson and Johnson. They all sell these boosters, these vaccines. And it looks like their revenue and profit numbers have been impacted by since the pandemic. They're not the same as they used to be. So what do you guys think about that? Does anyone pay attention to those stock market numbers? Have you noticed anything about their forward projections? Their quarterly outlooks, their 10K reports. Well, the thing is, obviously, there would be a huge spike in demand if there was a pandemic. So that theoretically, it would lead one to believe that it would be more profitable during those times. So if the pandemic slows down, then it reasons to think that, profits would be a little bit lower. So I always tend to keep those things in mind, right? Follow the money, as they say. Anyway, but please understand that we all have the right to do what we want to do with our bodies. The argument is that, and I just want to be very, very clear. We all have the right to do what we want to do with our bodies. You govern your kids how you want your kids to, should they be vaccinated or not. I tell my kids, this is what we're doing and whatnot. But that's not the argument here. The argument is that they can't actually provide us with actual data that shows us that getting these drugs would actually help us with this new variant. They can't. And like we talked about in the beginning, there's something a little bit off with the timing of these announcements, right? President Biden versus Trump in the polls. It's not looking good for Biden right now. We have a presidential election right around the corner. Donald Trump versus Biden in just a few months. And yet this information is now coming out. It's rather weird, right? Now, with critics of these new jabs now suddenly calling the FLiRT variant they're calling it the election variant. I swear, I'm not making this up. Critics of the FLiRT variant are calling it the election variant. Now, that one is obviously pushing toward conspiracy theories. However, it's kind of hard to argue against it, given that we're just months away from November. But what do y'all think about this? Like, is this all happening in time for the Biden versus Trump 2024 presidential elections? Or more importantly, should we actually be worried about a new C-19 variant spreading across the globe, across the United States once again? Y'all let me know what you think. Is this all planned? Jody Samurai says it's mind control. Mike Vick says this may be an excuse to not have a debate. Ooh, wow. You think Biden would be, you think they're trying to give Biden an exit to not have to debate against Donald Trump, leveraging this new virus variant? That would be interesting. Bo D says WEF and WHO. Are they in collusion? A lot of folks are on both boards. So I wouldn't be too shocked to hear that. Hello again from London, England. What's going on? Fats44. Let's see here. So Joanna Mazer says wearing a mask isn't any more effective today than it was 3 years ago. N94, N95 masks are not that effective outside a clinical setting. Interesting. Thanks for your comment. Let's see. Chris C says it takes 10 years and hundreds of millions of dollars in R&D for a medication. Let's see. Guadalupe Rubino, our ancestors have been living over 100 years, even today. Jody Samurai says, my body, my right, says no vaccine. Thanks for your comment. Let's see. What? Randy K says, still smell farts through those masks. Oh my God. Hopefully not Biden's fart through that mask. Did you guys see that video of Biden farting in front of everybody? And it's funny. It was weird. It's funny because Biden accidentally farted. I don't even know if it was an accident. I don't know if he pushed it out or if it slipped out, but Biden was standing, and where it happened, there were a lot of people who were sitting. So it was like they're eye level with his exit port and they got it in the face. And that was just not good. Not good. Let's see. Garrett Face says, wear a gator. What's a gator? Keith Wilson says, I can't wear a face diaper. Oh my God. Chris C says, ice cream fart. Oh God. So I don't know if Joe Biden is lactose intolerant, but that might have prompted this accident that took place. Oh my God. Everyone's talking about Biden's fart. Jesus. It was so bad, I heard. Jenk says, laugh out loud. Biden looked all confused and upset after realizing he farted. Oh my God. St. Andrew says Biden is crop dusting. Jesus. Anyway, guys. All right. So happy Sunday. Just want to say happy Sunday. If you haven't already, please do your boy a favor. Drop a quick like for the video. Totally appreciate you guys. Let me know your thoughts and comments. I want to know what you think about what we talked about today. Make sure to share this video with a friend, get their opinion, and circle back. Let me know what they think in the comments. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. Thanks so much for supporting, and I'll see you guys on the next one.